just a moment too to touch on the handouts that were included in your confirmation email. One of them is the plant-based healthy plate. So this can show us what eating in this style might look like. And the main takeaway here is there are 3 quadrants on that plate. We want half of our plate to be those colorful vegetables. A fourth of our plate is protein, right? It doesn't just say meat. So this is plant protein. That's what we're focusing on this class. And then we have our whole grains as well. The main takeaway from the healthy plate is just make your plate colorful, you guys. If you're looking down and there's a lot of color looking back at you, you know you're moving in the right direction. If at some point you want to learn even more about the healthy plate, we've got a separate 90-minute class just dedicated to that. It's taught by one of our registered dietitians. It's called Get Your Plate in Shape. We'll share some of those and our other classes at the end of our time together today, so you can just keep exploring healthy eating. All right, did I miss anything else? And I'll jump into the recipe here.
Jump in. No, that was
okay.
perfect.
So before we get into the cooking, I'm going to pull up the recipes that Chef is going to be preparing today so she can review the ingredients with you. As a reminder, your email invitation to join class also included links to these recipes. So you can print and you can save them for yourself. If you don't know where that's at, you could also take a screenshot of the screen today, right? If you want to do that and have it easily there for you. We also want to acknowledge that there may be a range of people attending tonight. For some of you, it might be your first time here and you're just wondering, what is this all about and how do I get more veggies and make them taste good on your plate? And some of you might be wanting to really be exclusively plant-based and working towards that. So we want to support, the full spectrum of people here today with knowledge and resources so you can move in the direction that you choose at the pace that you choose. The recipes she's sharing are going to be adaptable to your personal tastes and preferences. If you have a question or you're wanting to know about a substitution, again, just put it in the chat and we'll make sure to look for that opportunity to ask Chef that question. And I think that's it. I got a quick screenshot just to show where to find those 2 recipes in your email. So there's the resources I talked about, the plant-based resources and the 2 recipes from today. Okay, I think all my talking is done and I'm going to pass the baton over to Chef Alyssa. Thank you so much for being here with us. And I'll let you go over these ingredients and then you guys will be taking the PowerPoint down and we'll be maximizing Chef Alyssa's cooking screen. So that should be the main thing that you see. Oh, and just as a tip too, I see somebody just took the one of the buttons. There's a take control button. Just don't do that one if you want to play around because that will take over the screen. So you can do the mute and the other one. So I'm going to just put my PowerPoint back up here in 1 second. Because I think it's down, right?
It's, it's really hard not to. Again, as you guys are joining in, please remember to turn off your cameras, mute. It's really fun to press those buttons, but if you guys do it again, we'll make you teach the class. So, so yes, please don't forget to turn off your cameras, mute your microphones, and we will give it over to you. I'm going to also do a quick screenshot of this too. So if you want to see it bigger, if you don't see it, you can always open it up in the chat. I'll put that in right now.
Allison.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, passing it to you, Alyssa.
Okay, and just because I can't see it, I've got my handheld one right here, so I can't see the screen.
Perfect. Okay.
So I see it's the Moo Shu Stir Fry. We're going to do this one second, but we will talk it through. What I'm going to do is showcase some different mushrooms than we did from the other class. And today, especially, I want to talk about the elite mushrooms, which are these big ones. And so we're going to talk about how to cut them, how to use them. So I'm just going to put one as a picture inside of my pan. And then what you can do, because these guys have some big, long stems, and that you can use in cooking. So we're going to stir fry some mushrooms and red bell peppers and carrots along with ginger and garlic. And we're going to use some Asian green, like instead of you could use cabbage, but we have a pak choy, I believe that is the white stemmed green cabbage. We're going to cut up and saute in. And then we have shoyu, rice vinegar, and toasted sesame oil for seasoning. Then we're going to also heat up a sauce that is a hoisin sauce that we'll be spreading on our tortillas or whatever you have that you're going to be using for your wrapper. Today we have some tortillas. This hoisin sauce is hoisin with a combination of sesame oil, rice vinegar, tamari, and then a little bit of chili flakes and cornstarch for thickener. And so we're going to be thickening that, heating it also as part of this dish that we're going to be making.
That sounds delicious.
Wow.
Okay, very good.
Fun.
And then Arlene, just a tip, because we can see you on your camera.
Yeah.
So if you're able to navigate to turn that off. No worries. No
just
worries.
for you.
For your privacy.
And then also,
yeah.
as we're changing to the next recipe, you guys, sometimes it seems overwhelming. Just go along for the ride and enjoy Alyssa showing us what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to put this next one up on the chat as well, just in case you guys want it.
And now we got the mushroom gravy.
Yeah, you know, I just thought, I mean, I personally love gravy. It's like comfort food, and it's not that hard to make, and you can put it all over all kinds of things, especially in the holidays, like mashed potatoes or any kind of a potato vegetable dish. Today I'm going to talk through how I've sauteed some tofu. I love it with tofu and veggies. So we're going to be making a nice, simple mushroom gravy. And there's 3 different kinds of thickeners you can use. So I'm going to talk through that too. And yeah, so that's the first thing that we're going to start with. And then these ones, the mushrooms that we're using for this recipe are the cremini mushrooms, which are basically a baby portobello. Yeah. So we've got all kinds of fun mushroom things to talk about.
And I'm going to stop sharing those. And if we need them again at the end of class, we'll go ahead and put them up again. So you guys should hopefully all be seeing. Did you pin it, Allison? We need to pin
did. So you guys hopefully in the center. And again, Arlene, if you can figure out your camera, fantastic. If not, no worries. We're just going to have you being smiling and excited. And then everyone else, you guys, you can just say yes or no. Can you see in the center the beautiful pot ready to cook?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, there we go.
No.
Yay. Okay, if you can't see it, you could also, if it looks small, you can always just something for you guys to know as she's starting. If you have any issues, you could always go off and then join back in again. And then I do see we have a question, Donna. I do want to let Chef get cooking, but everything okay? You got it? Or yes, that's hands up. You got it?
I only see the initials CA.
Okay, I'm going to stop spotlighting and then I'm going to spotlight it again. Let's see. I don't know. So maybe if you go in and out one more time, everyone else, can you guys see it in the center? Yes, yes, and yes. So maybe that's something, Donna, if you go in and out again. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead, Chef, start away. I know we have 2 recipes to do.
Yeah. Well, I just want to talk a little bit about mushrooms because I think people have questions on whether you wash mushrooms or you don't wash mushrooms. And at the last cooking class, I listened to another podcast on mushrooms that was wonderful. And this mushroom expert said, yes, you definitely want to wash mushrooms. And if it's not, you also hear that if you don't want it to soak your mushrooms because then they absorb the water, and then they don't absorb the flavorings. So one way to wash is you can use a damp cloth and wipe them well. And so that is one way that you can keep it from getting them too immersed in too much liquid. You know, these ali'i mushrooms, which I talked about with the first recipe, they come in a plastic container. They have a good size container at Costco, and they're very clean looking. So I think too, your visual of what you've bought, how much it needs, how much attention and cleaning, I think that's really kind of the first thing to go through in deciding how well whether you're going to give them a good quick rinse or whether you're going to wipe them well with a paper towel. So that's one thing about mushrooms. The second thing is mushrooms like to be sauteed in a single layer. They do best. So if you have you can see that this is one of, I use a induction burner for this cooking class. So I only have a certain pans that actually work on my burner, but this pan is perfect because it's large. It's a large saute pan, which will mean that I can put all the mushrooms there and they don't have to crowd, because when they get layered, they start to steam. They don't saute. So that's another tip. So don't crowd your mushrooms. And also the third tip is to also saute at the end, because if you add salt at the end, because if you add salt in the beginning, it can add more moisture to your dish. So it's just something to think about. And then they start steaming again, and then they don't saute. So that is what I have learned through my information on reading about mushrooms and cooking mushrooms. Yeah, so should we go ahead and start with the mushroom gravy? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm turning on my burner, which heats up really quick. And so the recipe says heat oil in a medium to large saucepan and cook onions until soft and translucent. So I have a little bit of olive oil. You could use olive, canola, combination, avocado oil. Those would all work. I'm going to pour some in and let that heat up. It's I'm going to coat the pan a little bit while it's heating. And I'm going to put it, and then I'm going to add, I have some sliced mushrooms. I'm going to add in and saute them until they're soft and translucent. That will take a few minutes. While that is cooking, I'd like to just show you my mushrooms. So these are the cremini mushrooms. And my habit is I tend to slice off the stems. It's just a habit with cremini, but it's also just, I usually slice the ends off and the stems depending upon how they look. So I have these guys sliced like this. You can chop them, you can cut them into chunks, but this is just kind of how I envision my mushroom gravy. It's not anything you have to be attached to. However you like your mushrooms. You could also dice them if you want them just, small and chunky. You can do that too. So I have my onions that are sauteing. And, I like my putting herbs in my gravy. So if you're going to use, and if you can, you have the option to have fresh and dried herbs. That's great. Today, I don't have a lot of fresh herbs. I have fresh parsley. So I am using a combination of Italian seasoning and oregano for my dried herbs today. But you can use thyme. I happen to be out of thyme, even though I really love thyme in gravy. You could use fresh tarragon or dried tarragon. That's really nice too. So it's just starting to get soft. So I'm going to add in my dried herbs, my garlic. Now I want to be really mindful that I don't burn my garlic. Once I get the garlic in, I'm going to also add my mushrooms. And because we don't want to crowd our mushrooms, and I'm going to actually put the onions to the side here. Get my garlic in here. So I'm going to add my sliced mushrooms. Try and get them in as thin of a layer as possible. And then while these guys are doing some sauteing, I'm going to work on my slurry. And then I'm going to talk that through a bit too once I've got the slurry in. I want to talk about the options and why I wrote the recipe the way I did. So I'm going to add this guy in. So I have, today I'm going to be using arrowroot. You can use arrowroot flour or chickpea flour. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add it into water broth, and I have water. And then I'm going to add in some tamari. And because I'm using arrowroot, I'm not going to worry about the blender, the whole blender and the straining, but I'm going to talk that through. So let me just go ahead and watch my mushrooms. Make sure they get brown. You can add a little bit of oil if it starts to feel like it's the garlic is starting to burn. You can turn down the heat. The other thing you can do, now I know we talked about mushrooms and salt and releasing liquid, but if you wanted to saute your mushrooms without any oil, you can use a nonstick pan. You can add a little bit of salt, and that will just release enough liquid so things won't stick too. I'm going to, because it's starting to brown. I don't know if you can see how nice that is, how it's browned on the edges. That's what I'm shooting for.
Okay, looks fantastic. I just saw that most people see. I'm just going to make sure it's spotlit. I'm sorry if you aren't seeing it in the frame.
Oh.
Most people, no, it's not you. I'm just kind of problem solving. I'm being the producer in the background. Most people, you guys still see that front and center. I just wanted to make sure if you're not seeing Chef's video.
I don't want that to.
Oh, that's okay. We'll see what happens. It'll be like we're right there with you. And I was saying, if anything, you could always log out and log back in, and then it should come back with it front and center and pinned. Looks beautiful. Thanks. Sorry for the interruption.
No, I just. Focusing on slowly adding in. This is the arrowroot water, could be broth, slurry with a little bit of tamari. And let me put this right here. So I wanted to just talk this through because my initial recipe was using chickpea flour. And I started thinking about that because I'm thinking most people probably don't have chickpea flour in their cupboard. So white flour is kind of the traditional gravy go-to, or other thickeners are arrowroot or cornstarch. So with white flour, I'm, a traditional way of making gravy is that you heat the flour and then you make a roux with fat. And that, I don't have a lot of luck personally with doing it that way and not having lumps. So I generally will just blend the flour with the water and then strain it in and heat it up and thicken that way. So that's kind of why I've read it that way, because I feel like I'm the queen of lumpy gravy. I don't know if anyone else has that issue. So if I used chickpea flour or white flour, I would personally blend it and strain it through and heat it that way. Thickeners, I have found if they tend to boil too much, they can lose their thickening property. So I tend to just kind of slowly bring the heat up and watch it so that it doesn't boil. I think that chickpea flour and also tahini is a nice thickener, but if it gets too hot, it starts to curdle. So it's just like all of these different dynamics of using different things, these different agents to thicken. I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit. At this point, I can add some salt and pepper. Down a little bit. And then
we do have a question for you.
Yeah.
If they have garbanzo flour, would it change the taste? Because what do you think of that? What do you think?
I think the chickpea flour, the garbanzo flour, is a wonderful flavor. It really adds a nice depth and kind of a creaminess. And it's not that much, you know, it's 2 tablespoons. And that would actually be my go-to, would be the chickpea flour.
Thanks, Chef.
Yeah. Just don't boil it too hard because it can start separating. But you can see now that the gravy is, I mean, the mushrooms are nice and they've got the kind of brown color on the edges. And I'm going to turn this down a bit, let it continue to simmer and thicken. I've got some fresh parsley. The one thing about arrowroot and cornstarch is it makes it more of a clear gravy. Yeah, not as like white flour will make it more thick and not as translucent. I don't know if the word is thick, right? I guess the word is not as translucent. It looks more opaque. And I'm sorry?
No, they're doing great. We can hear you. Eric, I don't know if that might be on your side. Just answering something in the chat. Looks good.
Yeah.
Hoping everyone can hear Chef okay. Thumbs up, yes.
So as far as like, I grew up in a Coast Guard family, so I don't know, I always go to like jury rigging. As far as like, you know, kind of the whole fix it, right? If it's not thickening or it's not as thick as you like, or if it's too thick, what you can do is you can make a slurry. So the slurry, what a slurry is like arrowroot cornstarch flour, right? With a little bit of cold water, not hot water, because then it can lump and clump, but you want to do it cold water. So if I wanted this to be a little thicker, for whatever reason, if you were a little off on the liquid to flour thickening cornstarch arrowroot chickpea flour ratio, you can just make a thin slurry and drizzle it in to your heating sauce, and then get it to the consistency that you're looking for.
It's nice. You've really taken it. Yeah, you've taken away that fear. So many people have fear of gravy, right? We get so scared to make it, and we have to kind of release that and look at how beautiful it is. And there's just always little ways you can tweak and fix. So don't get scared in the process.
To you know, if you make it a little bit on the thin side, then as it sits and cools, you know, you can, if you have enough that you can save it and serve it the next day. Yeah. So this is a fun thing to have on hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit while this is simmering, just a little bit more about the tofu that I made. So, and I wanted to, one of the questions came up was, you know, should I include a recipe? I happy to type one up. I also thought that this would be fun to share in the tofu class, which is the one after the next one. So that would be June, right? June would be our tofu class, I believe.
I'll take a look. Yes, keep them coming back for more.
Yeah. So this is a sauteed tofu. Basically, I like to buy extra firm or firm tofu and make sure it's dried well, and then I slice it however I want to slice it. This one I have in squares, and then I just saute it in a pan. So this one is just with a little bit of olive oil. I take a piece of garlic and I mash it, and I put that mashed garlic in the olive oil just to infuse some flavor, and I put a little tamari and salt and pepper. And basically that's it. I just saute it till it gets nice and crispy on one side. And then my little trick is, and I will go over it in the class, is I take it off the heat, the whole pan off the heat with all the tofu on there. And then I let it sit for like 2 to 5 minutes. And what happens is the moisture in the tofu, even though it's crispy on the bottom, releases it from the pan. So you can get a little spatula in there and turn it over, bring it back on the heat, and then do the same process. 5 minutes on the second side, saute it, and then you take it off the heat, and then you can take it off the pan and put it in your little dish and have it for serving for later. So that's just my little trick. So if this was me for dinner, I would probably, because I love tofu, I would probably just put I cooked up some brown rice. I probably put some tofu and just a little bit of gravy, and I probably would steam some greens, and then that would be my sauce.
Fantastic.
Wow, that looks really
Doesn't
good.
it? Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
gonna say. And how long, I've always asked this question. They never last long in my house, but if you were to keep the gravy, how many days do you think you could have that for your
Oh gosh,
leftovers?
I would say probably a good 4 days,
Nice.
4 or 5. Yeah, yeah.
We like that meal prep.
Yeah, right. Yum. So that is the gravy. And anybody have any questions on this one?
Not so far.
Yep. You guys
Okay.
feeling motivated to have a little extra sauce and new vegetarian
Yeah.
gravy? I
Seem
love it.
doable.
I know, and those mushrooms, they're so full of those antioxidants and all those
Right.
good things. It's just so, sometimes we have fear of trying to do it or I'm going to cook it wrong. And I think I think I was always over filling the pan, and I really love that idea. Just make sure you've got one layer, don't crowd the pan, don't salt it. Yeah.
If you have lots of mushrooms, then just saute this batch, put it in a platter, and then saute the rest, right? At that point, when you've got them all sauteed, you can put them all together and pour the sauce in, So there could be more mushrooms in this sauce, right? If you sauteed, but this was 2 cups. So just think that you might want 4 cups of mushrooms for this amount of sauce. That's an option too, right? But this is what it looks like with 2 cups. Mushrooms always cook down.
Yeah, it makes a decent amount too.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to transfer this, clean up my area, and then I want to talk about the leafy mushrooms and the enoki mushrooms before we go into the stir fry. If that's okay.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
Okay, give me a few minutes.
Alison, you have any other fun mushroom
I know.
tips for us?
I'm gonna get some. I'm like, which mushrooms is she gonna talk about? But I'm hoping that the idea of just that your mind's going, okay, how can I add that? What can I put that on? What can I, we get sometimes stuck when we're new to figuring out this healthy plate of half my plate is vegetables. Some of us get stuck like, oh, just salad or the same thing. And just going, what can I try that's a little different? I love it. I mean, obviously I'm preaching to the choir here because everyone's got a good, curious mind. That's why you're here. We want to learn. So let me see what I can find for our, I've got all the recipes up, some tips. Any questions, you guys, while we're waiting about that mushroom gravy? I know all of a sudden I've got to fight back wanting to say any mushroom jokes, but all my dad jokes, I hate to say that, are coming into my head, but
Oh, where could we purchase chickpea flour? Whole Foods or Down to Earth maybe? Where could you get that, Chef?
The last batch I got online through, I got it at Whole Foods, but Down to Earth has it in bulk, which is great. You can buy what you want.
Yeah, I kind of like the bulk too, because then you can just get, like you said, if it's not something, you don't need a big bag of it, you just need it for a few things.
Right.
Yeah, you can just get how much you need. Oh, Carol also put Amazon. A couple different options.
Yeah. Okay. So, oh, my Moo Shu. This is so fun. So I got green onions, bell peppers, These are the, some of the, I cut up that Asian cabbage. I just thought, you know, versus the traditional Moo Shu, like the non-vegetarian, they use cabbage, you know, but the color isn't this vibrant with all, you know, this wonderful Asian cabbage has all that nice bright green. I got carrots. Oh.
Did get a good one. Can you believe, you guys, that there are over 2,000 variations of edible mushrooms? I just was looking at these things of edible. We might have to have 5 years of this class. We got excited about, we're talking about 3 tonight. That was a good one.
We're just enjoying all her beautiful bowls that she has everything chopped up in, right?
Exactly.
It's like, as long as I don't have to do the dishes, that looks brilliant.
I know.
The one time I use the dishwasher, once a month.
Perfect. And look at those. Which ones are we going to work on now?
Cute little ones.
Enoki, yep.
Yeah, these little enokis, right?
Enokis are gorgeous.
Yeah, and they're great for this. They come brown or white, and boy, I tell you, Times had them for like $2.50 a container. It was wonderful. They had, and then these are fresh shiitakes. I don't know if you can see them. They've got kind of that cracks in their. What would you? I want to say the lid. It's not a lid. It's a cap, crack in the cap. And you know, they're expensive and they seem expensive, right? Sometimes they're like Safeway, 15, 16 down to earth dollars per pound, but they're so lightweight. I mean, you could buy 6 of these and it might be a little over $1, you know, not that much. So don't get daunted by the price, because mushrooms tend to be relatively light. So with shiitake mushrooms, the stems are kind of woody and dense, so you would cut them off. You could save them for like soup stock if you're going to be saving, making homemade soup stock, which is actually very easy to do. You take all your peelings and put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in the freezer, and then you can boil them up at the end of the week, and then you have some wonderful stock. So these ones, you don't want to slice the stems and use them. These are the Alii mushrooms. See if I can do this, right? Can I do that over a, I want to showcase this, but let me get my wooden cutting board.
I don't want you to burn anything. No, can't reach through there.
My wooden cutting board here. Okay, so that for
there
contact.
You go.
Okay, so these Alii mushrooms are, you see them a lot in the stores here locally. There's oyster mushrooms too, which I hadn't seen to showcase today. These sell at the local grocery stores as well as, like I said earlier, at Costco. When I first started using them, I was thinking, boy, that's a lot of waste with that stem, right? You know, you buy all this, but it's wonderful because you can actually use them. And I wanted to show you one of the ways that, like, we're going to use them in the stir fry today is you can take the mushroom stems and you can take a fork and then you use the, what's it called, tines, and you go like that. I don't know how would you describe that? I am using this to create lines in the cap with kind of a small, you know, it's got small spaces between the, I think it's called tines, fork tines. And then you would pull that apart. So it's almost like pulled pork. I mean, you can think of it like that, right? You can shred it.
Where you're reminding us all of when we used to do the string cheese piece by piece. So, but it just pulling it apart. Right. String mushroom, we'll call it string mushroom.
String mushrooms, right? So then you can use that in the stir fry and it adds a little bit of texture. And then if you can, it's just kind of a dance on how it all pulls and separates. But then you can just use your knife or you can use your hands and just cut it. And then you've got a whole bunch of this shredded mushroom. which is kind
It's
of fun.
really a beautiful mushroom.
Great tip.
The other thing you can do, we won't use this today, but I wanted to show you as an option, is you can cut it this way, the stem. And then you can cut it here, crosshatch. And then you can cook it kind of how people cook scallops, right? You can saute garlic, olive oil, lemon, whatever, and then you can put it with the tine side down and grill it, saute it. You know how we did it, how it gets kind of brown, and then it would absorb into those crosshatches. And then you can eat it like that, like little steaks, like little scallop steaks.
Fantastic.
Kind of a visual. So just
So
some ideas.
creative. Yeah.
And then, you know, you can.
Nothing goes to waste.
No, nothing goes to waste. Because these aren't like woody, like the shiitake. Sometimes the portobellos, right? Those stems are a little, can be woody too.
I have a question for you, Chef. You know, a lot of times, I don't know if anyone else has this issue, like how are you supposed to store your mushrooms? Or how do you store, you know, like are you keep it, do you put that wet towel in with it? Do you keep it in the fridge? Else, I mean, do you have any way you do it?
I keep it from just from reading up and listening to that podcast before that previous class was to definitely take it out of the plastic containers that they come in. And with the plastic wrap, and if you can either put a paper towel on top, you know, around it, even underneath it, or put it in a paper bag. That was the best way to store mushrooms. That's what I've learned so far. I don't know if anyone else has any other tips to offer.
That's great. And then do you put them in the refrigerator that way, or do you keep them out when the day you're cooking them? Okay, perfect.
I do put them in the fridge. I don't know about, I guess it would be good to make it warm, but I hadn't thought about that. That would make sense.
Great tip, but the good one is take it out of the packaging that it's in, put it in something. Thank you for that.
Because the plastic wrap holds moisture in, and it's the moisture that causes it to get, you know, break down, and sometimes they get kind of slimy, and then they get kind of smelly, and yeah, all of it. So to increase its shelf life, take it out. Take that plastic off.
Perfect, great tip.
Okay, so we're gonna start with thickening the sauce. So the sauce is a combination of tamari, and I think I combined it here. So I have tamari, hoisin sauce, sesame oil. Let me think. Okay, sesame oil and a little bit of chili flakes. So the hoisin sauce you can buy. Let me get it for you. This is the one I bought. This is Dynasty. I try and look for one without red dye in it. I just got this thing about dyes. This one is pretty clean. Let me see. So water, sugar, vinegar, soybeans, rice, caramel color, garlic, salt, sesame oil, onions, red chili, citric acid. Oh, star anise, ginger, and licorice. So yeah, they do vary, but definitely have a little bit of that star anise flavor. Yeah, Lee Kum Kee. Trying to think of the other brands. There's a few hoisins out there, depending upon where you go. There's also one that's gluten-free. Yeah, specifically, I think it's at Whole Foods. So I have all of these combined. Again, the tamari, hoisin, sesame oil, rice vinegar, and then and a little bit of the chili flakes. So you could, you know, that's just optional whether you want to give it a little kick. That's not necessary. The rice vinegar gives it a little nice punch too. I use again, I've talked about it before, the shimichi togarashi little like Korean chili flakes. I like that. I'm not really thinking like the pizza chili flakes, like the kind that goes on, comes from when you get the takeout pizza. Thinking more just the powdery kind. You could do a little bit of sambal, or you could do a fresh Thai chili. That's just kind of where I was going. Thoughts. It's all good, whatever You could use the pizza chili flakes if you really like to. Hot sauce. Yeah, just like a little kick. And then I have here just my slurry. I'm just thickening it again, stirring it. That is the, I'm going to turn the heat on. This is cornstarch and water. Okay. So I'm going to mix that in while it's still kind of cool. And it will heat up quick. That's what this burner does. Really, the intent is to just mix the flavors, heat it up, thicken it, and then I'll take it off the heat. I want it thick enough so that it will spread on the tortilla or pancake for the moo shu wraps without, you know, dribbling off. But you can see it's thickening right away. Again, depending upon the ingredients you buy, the different hoisin sauces might be different thicknesses. So you might need to add a little water or a little more thickener to get, you know, the consistency that you want. So just don't be daunted, just adjust it accordingly. Okay, so that's nice and thick. I'm going to take it off the heat and continue on with the stir fry. Does anyone have any questions?
None in the chat so far, Chef. I think they're all with you.
Okay.
But feel free to put them in, you guys.
Okay. Okay, we're back to my saute pan. Turn on the heat. This one could use a little bit of light oil, so I am going to use, hold on. I am constantly humbled by this saute pan. Okay. I have a little bit of canola oil, organic canola oil I'm going to use. So it's got not much flavor because we are going to be adding all kinds of flavorings to this. You don't need, you know, I wouldn't think of using like olive oil for this. Okay, so we get started. Cook the mushrooms. Okay. These guys with the little shreds. Just think that's so fun, something different.
That's a great tip. Really good idea to shred them.
Yeah. And these last quite a while in the fridge. The other thing, you know, you can add to this recipe is baked tofu. So like this tofu that I cooked for the other, oh wait, I got my other mushrooms. I don't want to crowd them, so I'm gonna place them around. Because you could slice those squares of the tofu I cooked up and add some of them into your wrap. You want to give a little bit more heartiness, protein to it.
Somebody's asking about your pan, Chef. What kind of pan you're using or what is it made out of?
It is a stainless steel pan. I have had it for years. I love it. The big one. I think it's, ooh, yuck. What is it? I think it's more than 12 inches. I actually happen to have a measuring tape right here. What is 12? No. Oh yeah, it's 12 inches. Okay. That's a 12-inch pan.
Nice.
I like it because it's, you know, it's got a good deep, well, it's probably about 3 inches deep lip. Okay, I'm going to get a little spatula real quick so I can turn those.
We had another question about the flavor of the mushrooms. Do they all, like, are the enoki and the ali'i similar to white mushrooms or do they have different flavors?
I think that they're all pretty, they are a great template to absorb flavors. I don't notice any difference. Personally, I think the only ones I really notice are the portobello being different. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. They tend to absorb the flavors that you're putting them with, but they probably each have their own unique nutritional properties and of course textures and visual. Yeah.
Okay. So I've got that. I'm going to add in these have just started to get nice and soft. I'm going to scoot them a little to the side. Add in the bell pepper, carrot, ginger, I'm going to drop the heat a little bit.
And it looks colorful already.
Yeah.
We like that colorful food.
Yeah. I'm going to add just a touch of oil because this pan gets really hot quickly.
I think that's a really great tip. You know, we all get so worried and we're also used to throwing in so much oil when we aren't sure. And you don't have to. You can add it if you need it, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't,
You know,
I think
you
that's
could
good.
also add a little bit of water, broth. But again, I'm trying not to.
We also have another question for you.
Yeah.
Are there any mushrooms that can freeze well, raw or cooked? Have you ever done that?
You know, I see it where you can freeze it. It just, I have never tried. It just sounds odd to me.
Yeah, then this is the other side of the coin. Was wondering if dried mushrooms are a good alternative to have on hand, or should you soak them? You know, dried shiitake mushrooms. What do you think about that, Chef?
Yeah, you could do dried shiitake. I think that their flavor's a little different for this recipe. I was thinking though, you know, I really like those wood ear mushrooms, you know, the Chinese, they use that in Moo Shu sometimes. And I actually had some in the cupboard. I was looking for it because I wanted to add it to this and I couldn't find it. But, you know, in the Asian section, they have, excuse me, I'm going to turn on the heat a little bit. They have those dried, which you would rehydrate. Those, you know, the real dark ones. It's almost looks like seaweed. Yeah. I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about, but those wood ear mushrooms are really nice in Moo Shu. They have it in like jai, if you ever eat jai at New Year's. So I've added the bok choy. Oh, excuse me. I think this is kai choy. This one chopped up with the white stems. Then garlic. And green onions.
I bet it's starting to smell really good at your house.
Wow.
You're making us all hungry. We're all gonna go and say, this isn't that hard. Look how quickly it comes together.
No, just, you know, really the key is having everything prepped. As you can see, it's really just, you want everything crisp, tender. And then this is just a combo of the rice vinegar, the shoyu, and the sesame oil. And that's it. You don't want to overcook it. If your pan is too small, you can do this in like 2 batches, you know. Or
You know,
that's cook separate and bring them all together, you know, one at a time.
That's amazing how quickly it does come together, and you're so on time. We just give you a time. We have like about 7 minutes left, and
oh, perfect. So I'll show you how to put this together.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Just quickly get this out of the way so I don't break anything.
What do we say in Healthy Balance, Heather? As I was saying, the link last for our class, we're talking, I'm trying to make everyone have the link of beautiful food is colorful food. So link that colorful food is happy food.
Oh yeah, it was happy. Yeah.
Happy, happy, happy.
Colorful happy.
Vegetables. Look at that. They make you happy.
Okay, let's do this. All right, so I'm going to bring back this. Oh yeah. Can you see it on this side?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
All right. So, like I said, I bought this one. I just thought it looked, looked healthy. So it is Sinaloa. No, it's La Tortilla Factory. And heaven, if I get it open. Okay. So you can heat them up. I'm not going to heat them up just for the sake of the class. But if you have like a burner or another nonstick pan, you can heat this up, get it soft and pliable. Oh, I wonder if I could do that, huh? What do you think? Oh, where was that going to go then? Oh, okay. Sorry, like trying to think this one through. So I could do
This is the chef in you. I love it.
Could
Just
I?
don't burn yourself.
I don't know. Will it turn on if?
Oh, I don't know. It's an
have a
induction.
pan? But I've got a little residual heat. No, it's doing
Creativity in the kitchen. This is what we love.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
How about I say it this way? Safe creativity. That's what we like to say.
All right. And then I'll put this here. I'll do a nice. And again, we could put however much you like. Right, Allison? You were.
That's me. I'm having flashbacks right now. Heather. I'm hoping you're getting excited because this is a very happy childhood memory, making Moo Shu pancakes and eating them, and it's just delicious. So I hope you guys are all feeling this inspiration. Although, yeah.
And then you just like eat it over the plate.
Yep.
There you go.
Beautiful.
And like you said, you could add tofu to it if you wanted to for extra oomph, extra protein.
Yes, definitely. I would add tofu. I would do that.
Yep.
The last time I did that, I just did a test run for a family dinner. I sauteed the tofu and a little bit of star anise, just a little bit, and tamari for a little additional flavor. But I don't know if you need it because the hoisin is so flavorful and the vegetables are all crunchy with the ginger and garlic. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Any kind of cooked tofu. So there you go.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Yay.
Thank you, Chef. That's great.
You are welcome. So
guys, any questions as we kind of close up? Heather, you might want to kind of end. If you guys are excited about
PowerPoint
this,
up real quick again too, and then share some information. But if you guys have additional questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We still have Chef here.
Yep.
Don't want to cut her off
and
too
just
soon.
While you're putting that up there, Heather, if you scroll back up, I did add in the chat, our next classes that are coming up for culinary medicine, fourth Monday of every month, right? You're the best. Go, Heather, go.
Yeah, so we hope to see you back here next month. It'll be May 20th, 5 to 6 p.m. Our topic next month will be family cooking. So we hope to see you. And other resources for you guys, if you want a little help putting what you're learning into practice, we don't want to just keep it in our head. We want to actually be hopefully buying and cooking and creating in the kitchen. You can also partner with one of our wellness coaches, which includes Allison or I, in addition to our other staff. And we don't just help with cooking, right? It can be with eating healthy, getting active, reducing stress, managing weight. You can book yourself a session through kp.org, or you can call the 432-2260, our main number, and ask to be partnered with a coach. Also want to take a moment to highlight our other amazing classes that we have. This is our May schedule, so coming up next month. Culinary medicine is on here along with all of our other classes that we have to offer. So we hope you'll check those out. Well, I think they're all virtual right now. Everything's virtual, so it should make it easy to attend. And I think that's it. I think we got it all in with 2 minutes left to spare. Okay.
But we have a question. Wow. We have a question.
Yes, a question.
And I was going to answer it, but we want Chef to answer it. Is there any reason you would choose those mushrooms over other ones for your last recipe? Just wanted to.
No, it was more, well, I probably wouldn't use cremini because I just, why would I not use cremini? You can use anything really. I really wanted to showcase ali'i mushrooms because I think a lot of people aren't familiar with all the wonderful options you can do for it. And I just think these little enoki ones have a great little texture for this recipe. So nope, you could use anything. I was thinking about the shiitake, but I've got a plethora of mushrooms here today. So
So mainly so we could showcase to you guys the variety of
Exactly.
mushrooms and
The
how we can
options
use
out
them.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, what
So
did I
many.
say? 2,000 edible mushrooms out there. If you're just going, okay,
Yeah.
I'm stepping into this new mushroom world, start with whatever you can get and realize they all have a little bit different taste.
The other
Right.
ones too, they're a lot
Yeah.
of fun are the oyster mushrooms. You know, they're
There's
not real.
lion's mane too,
Yeah.
right? Aren't those really popular? I see them at the farmer's
Oh,
market.
Yeah.
I don't see them that often, but the
Yeah.
oyster ones, yeah, they grill up really fat, really nice. And
There was
they were,
another question. I don't know. Someone had a question. Is there an alternative to hoisin sauce? Just wondering if it's too sweet for a diabetic.
yeah, you could, gosh, you could, I was just, for some reason, I'm going to tahini. You could just do a nice smear of.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah. What else would be wonderful on avocado? You could just put a smear of avocado. That would be nice. You could do a little bit of just a little of sesame oil, you know, on a basting brush and just baste it. That could work. Just add a little flavor to your tortilla. Those are the things that are popping in my noggin right now.
We love that thought. That's your chef brain. I'm like, wow, I wouldn't have thought of any of those. So that's terrific. Thank you. Good questions, you guys. Thank you for asking them. And Chef Alyssa, you know, we're so grateful for your time, your knowledge. You make cooking fun for us, and it looks like something we can do. So I know for everyone, if you have to leave, we just wish you happy cooking. We'll see you next month,
Yeah.
but we'll stay on for a few minutes if you guys have more questions.
Absolutely.
Anything I forget, Heather?
No, I think we're all good. Thank you all for being here, for spending a Monday evening with us. I hope this was inspirational, and we hope to see you next month and let us know how it worked out for you. We'd love to hear it.
Yes, love to.
All right.
But if not, have a great evening, everyone, and we'll see you hopefully next time. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
Ooh, Teresa might try the gravy tonight.
Oh, I know. I love it.
I know. I don't know.
I got
You
my
made
meal
it
plan
look
for this week, so
doable.
I gotta
I
add it
know.
next week.
Well, I definitely want to make that gravy because I'm a saucy girl, right? Like
Yeah,
everyone used to make fun of me when they go, you want a little salad with your dressing, Allison? So I'm like, ooh, gravy, that one isn't too bad. I can be a saucy girl again. So
over rice.
I've got a question for you there, Heather.
Yeah, Teresa. So I'm on Maui. So the Pukulani Farmers Market has had the lion's mane before.
Oh, wow. That's exciting.
Yeah, I bought a bag of them one time and they I was so intimidated. I had no idea what to do with these mushrooms. So I was like Googling and watching YouTube videos how to do it. Yes, the one by Long's. Yep. I haven't been there recently to know if they still have it, but that's where I got them before. There was a guy selling mushrooms up there.
I've had them
Heather,
once.
I'm going to just go back to that. There.
Yeah, they were good. And that's so all the nutritional value, right, of them as well.
Potassium. I have potassium.
Yeah, little wonders.
All right. So you get to go enjoy this great food now. I always want to come to your house for dinner when class is done.
I know. She's lucky that we live on different islands, because we would be there knocking on her door like, are you ready? Let's just work on next month's planning while we eat this one.
We're no fools.
Yeah, have a good night, Teresa. Yeah.
All right. If there are no more questions, you guys have a good one. Enjoy your evening. Chef Alyssa, welcome back, and we will see you next month.
Okay, take care.
Okay.
Okay,
bye.
thanks for all the thought you put into this.
Guys.
Great recipes.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.